Okay, there was an error here, and I put up an announcement on that. Just that the setup was wrong. There's no third there, and I don't want to start the tenors really high because that's awful to do to actually sing. So altos are on the E, tenors are on the G, and we'll start from here. I'll go through this with you. Um, so in this case here, I'm going to do contrary motion voice exchange, and let me explain why. You could do move with soprano, but then your tenors are way down here on an E. And we know that the bass note next is up there. And so it gets complicated. We need them to stay above, right? So out of practical concerns, plus I don't want the tenors down on a muddy E right there. I'm doing contrary motion voice exchange. I'm not going to mark these. The idea is you're all great at connection methods now. And so I'm going to do these and sort of talk my way through them. But, you know, we're not going to spend all the time labeling all the chords and everything like that. We're going to presume you can identify the chords from the bass notes, that you know your connection methods. And if you don't, those are gaps that you really just need to fix by self-study. Okay, so from here to here, we're going to use common tone, right? Holds over, root to root, steps, right? And then here is probably where we'll use move with soprano right there. Okay, because the ranges are fine. Now from here to here, looks like we're going to have to use not common tone, because if we use common tone and that held over and this moved up in the same direction as that, would get a non-chord tone there. We don't want that. So this would be everything moves to the next chord tone in the same direction as the soprano. And we're back to the same voicing we had at the beginning underneath, right? Except these two are flopped, I guess, right there. Okay. From here to here, in the overview video, I mentioned that this cannot be super common tone. It's a third here. And what you want to do if you're doing super common tone would be hold the G over like that, and then hold the C over, and then that would move to the E, or sorry, to the, stay on the E, sorry. And this would move to the A like that. But because your soprano is not playing the game, what we have to do is we have to reset the chord here so that we have an A, a C, and an E without messing too many things up, right? So I think and we don't want to do parallel octaves right here, right? Which would be C's going to C's. So it's going to be a little awkward here. I think what we're going to do is we're going to, you know, I think we're going to go to the E like that right there. And we're going to go up to the A like that right there. Now that's not ideal. There's a better solution, which is to not worry about doubling the root, which we'll learn in the weeks to come, because you don't always have to have root, root, third, fifth, but for our purposes, we do. And right now we're just doing this so we can get through it. And then we'll go back in another iteration and revise. So the goal here was to not have parallel octaves or fifths, which means that, see these notes right here, they're in an octave. They couldn't end up in another octave right there. And these notes here, the G and the C's below, they shouldn't, they're a fifth apart. They shouldn't end up in a fifth again, and they don't, which is fine, like the distance between the notes. And then this should be singable, and I think it is. You know, this goes up a third, this goes up a fourth. This is the root. They're going to hear it down here. This is not that bad. All right, from here, we ignore this note, pretend that it doesn't exist. We keep doing that right there. And then we're going to do connection method from here to there. I think we want to alleviate our tenors from being up there too long. Since this goes from a C to an E, we can take this down as well. And we'll just do again the contrary motion of voice exchange. Okay, going from here to here looks like probably we're doing common tone right there. Steps up, holds over, steps up, root to root. we're going to pretend that doesn't exist and just hold that over like this. And then we're going to connect these guys to there, right? And so now, since this is coming down, we could go up to the F and do more contrary motion voice exchange, but I feel like baseline is down and it's opening up. Plus, we don't want to take the tenors up too high. Now we move with soprano. So this is a D chord, so that's going to my F. This is going down to my A, like that. Okay. And their fifth part looks like common tone right there. So these two are going to move in the same direction to there, common tone, root to root, same direction to get the chord tones, right? If this came down, this would go to a G, but this would go to an E, which is not part of the chord. Moving on, I think move with soprano is fine here, right? So we can go down to there and then down to here. We're coming to the end of the line, and I like the idea of not, again, raising the tenors up, which builds more tension, but to sort of come down and rest. And then we're coming to finally another G chord, comes down. And here's where maybe, I don't want to bring these guys down to the D. Maybe here's where I go contrary motion voice exchange right there like that. Okay. Now it's kind of hard to see, but we have to get from here over to there. I'm going to put these notes here from there, just like from here, so you can see them right here, and we'll connect them. Okay, so those are our pitches on the next system over right there. This is stepping down, so we have to go opposite the bass step. This is an F chord. This is going up. That's going up, F, C, F, A, right? So now I'll transfer that over to here. So there's my C. Right there. There's my F. And we're off again. So the contrary motion voice exchange is not an option here. I don't know, we don't want to take these guys up anyways, because they're not on pitches that are switching. So we're just going to use move with soprano right there, like that. And then looks like we can probably, can we use common tone? I don't think we can. If we hold the C over and that moves up, then we end up with a C, a G, and a B, which is not part of the chord. So this is going to be not common tone. Everything moves in the direction of the soprano. So there and there. You may have had to try it, but I can eyeball it by looking, right? Okay, and then we're going up another step. So everything's coming opposite that to a D chord. That comes down to the D, that goes to the A, like that. This is roots of fifth part. Clearly, this is not common tone because the common tone would be there, but the soprano is skipping into it. So we're going to have to go not common tone to the notes of the G chord, right? And then we end up here, and I think common tone works fine here because, yeah, there we go. Two step in the same direction. Okay. Getting from here to here, again, I don't think super common tone works for the same reasons here as this. If we did super common tone, this would move up to the A, this would hold over, and that would hold over. But this is skipping down, which is not part of super common tone. So we have to make it work, right? And I think it's just, it's really awkward because this C right here, if we go down to the A, right? Then we get parallel octaves right there, which is not what we want. It's awkward, right? So the solution, of course, is to not worry about getting correct doubling, right? Just for a moment. But you know what? I told you just to write them so that it was singable, so that you got A, a C, an E. So maybe that's where you ended up, right? And I'll finish it off like this for you, but But we'll probably come back and revise this in a second thing. I think one of the important parts of this is to recognize that just like if you're sketching something or making a painting or doing anything, composing is the same. It happens incrementally. We have lots of good intent here, and a lot of what we're doing right now will stay in the mix when we do our next pass of this, but there will be changes and modifications that we want to do. Okay, so with full awareness that this is an parallel octave, this is an A, or C and a C going to an A and an A, and that's a problem. We're still going to do this like this because maybe we'll modify something later. I just told you to get to there, right? The real, honestly, the real answer, just so you know ahead of time, is just to go C there and A there like that, and not worry about it, and then fix it later because you have two roots and a third, which is enough. But if we're using connection methods, you probably did this to get started because you want to have root, right? Root, third, and fifth. And yeah, we'll go from here. We'll fix that later. So we can ignore that note right there. So we're going to have to go like this. Two lines there, right? And there. And then I definitely going to move everything up to the next chord tone, with the soprano moving up because we're pretty low right there. Okay. So A, C, E, A, right? All moved up. Now we've got our fourth, fifth apart. It looks like common tone will work just fine here. Common tone rolls over. These guys move up. Okay. We ignore this for now, like that. And because this is going to overlap with there, we're definitely moving with soprano. So this is going to come down to the A again. This is going to come down to the F, like that. Again, we ignore the non-chord tone and we pretend it didn't happen. And we just connect from here to there. And from here to here, it looks like common tone probably, which is that goes up by step, that holds over, this comes up, the altos go up by step, G, G, B, D, right? And this is moving up. I don't want to do common or contrary motion voice exchange because this would take us down to a D. It would definitely be nice, since we're coming around to the beginning of a new phrase, to move upwards with this. So I'll move to there and I'll move to there like that. Okay. That's your first two lines. And that's a lot of work. Now, if you've already done all this work on your own, you could have fast forwarded through a lot of this and just sort of go like, oh, okay. But you can see sort of the rapidity of which I can cover a lot of ground, write a lot of good notes. I'll have to look at this there, right? I'll also have to look at this there and see if there's a more elegant solution that may change some or a lot of this writing, but without getting stuck on every little problem, I'm able to do lots of work. That lets us get through this so that we have good writing, and then we can focus on other things like lyrics and rhythmic alterations that go with that. Now, I'm going to let you know a secret. When you start a new section like this right here, going to start over on the second half of this double period, sometimes you can just ignore and you don't have to connect. Like you just say, this is how I want to start right now. Or you can connect as well. But usually if you put like a breath there, your connections sort of like do over, start up again, right? So I think for this, we're going to go and do exactly how we did at the beginning. This is not a connection method because that's not how we would connect this measure to that measure, I don't think, right? But yeah, that wouldn't work, and that's fine. But already we have like octaves here and octaves there. And because this is the same as the beginning part, I think I just want to set it up. So here, don't worry about a connection method right there, okay? We start the same, and we can just copy what we did to a large extent, which might sound like, oh, is that okay to do? It's absolutely okay to do because it's your audience will like it. Oops, let's make that a quarter note, right? And your singers will be happy because it's familiar territory for them again. Okay, I'm going to hold that there like that. And then when we get to here, I'm going to connect these guys like we're going from this one to that one. And it's going to be moved with soprano so that I can get below, stay below. These guys go to the A like that. And that makes it look very much like what we had on top too. It move with soprano. And we're just going to do the same thing here as we did on top right there. So E, right, C, like that, right? Not common tone. We're going to set ourselves up the same way here. In fact, we're just going to go same as 5 through 9 and not write it there, right? But we do want to get from here, right, this guy right there, to the beginning again. And you see that this is the same setup here and here and here. And this is the same setup here and here and here. Again, 2 G's right there going to 2 C's is going to be what we would call repetitive or consecutive perfect octaves, which is an error that we'll be checking for. But this is the end of a phrase again. And so you can kind of pick up and do over. These connection methods are there to give us smooth, connected transitional lines, but without breaking the flow of the music. It's one of their purposes. But since we're starting up again, you take a breath and you just say, we're at this again, and don't worry about that. Okay. Right. And then this looks the same to here. But this is different, right? So this is going up by step. So these guys are going to come down in the opposite direction. There's an F chord like that. Okay, now each one of these is a different chord, so we'll have to harmonize each one of these. So we're going from F to C. Looks like if we go F down and G, A to G right there, that common tone's gonna do just fine for that. But common tone's probably, yeah, it'll work here too, I think, right? These two step down, that one holds over, seems good, right? Not sure if it'll work here. In fact, I'm pretty sure it doesn't. Da, da, da. So if this was held over and that went down, we'd end up with, is it, well, okay, so this is, sorry, didn't look at my bass notes. This right here is bass step, right? So everything comes opposite. This is 5 to 6. And so we can do what we want with this right there, right? So for instance, this will come down to there. That's a given. And this will come down to there. This could go down to the A, right? Or we can take T and go up because 5 to 6 progression. And I think I'm going to do that because see how this is similar to this right here, right? Maybe not. We'll see. We have to get from here to there, and there's a leap from here to here, right? This is the third of this chord, leaping to the third of that chord right there. Yeah, it's tricky, right? Because if we did tertiary leap, that would happen there, and that would happen there, and this would be normally on an A. Maybe we will go down since it's in an inside voice, right? So now we can perform a tertiary leap, right? Which would be something like this. The third of this chord leads to the third of that chord. This note right here is an A and it holds over. This note steps down. It's very crunchy and close, but it still works, right? And then this is gonna hold over because we're just gonna pretend that doesn't exist. And then we're going from here. And I think there's no place where we can go down further here. So we're gonna have to go up, doing contrary of motion voice exchange like that, right? F to D, D to F, right? And then looks like we have common tone. This is gonna step up to the B. This is gonna step up to there. There's my common tone. This leaps up. I guess it would be okay to move with soprano at this point. You know, could open up a little bit. We're going to pretend that this doesn't exist, right? So like that and that, they just hold over, right? But then when we connect from here to there, or from here to there, we pretend that doesn't exist. And I think we'll just go back down like we did opposite there. So this is going to go down there. That's going to go like that. And then finally, the end. This is going to have to be not common tone because this, if this holds over and these both step down, that goes to a non-chord tone. So this will come down to the E. This will come down to the G. 1, 2, 3. There we are. All right. Are there some problems with it? Yeah, we have some parallel octaves that we have to deal with. There's some range considerations on a couple things, but that's good. So notice that all my connection methods are correctly done and the chords are correctly spelled. And I recognize that we'll have to deal with, I'll do it in pen actually. We'll have to deal with this, right? We'll have to deal with that and that. They're all the same thing, right? Also, we have to recognize that going from there to these spots, right, gives us an error. Sorry, put in the camera. The double G's right there end up in double C's right there, which is, according to the textbook, a problem. But we're at the end of phrase endings there. And so we don't actually think of those as connected parts. Like you could easily just for an example, if you put a rest there, then there is no connection to there. We can just reset how we want. All right. I will go through each one of your own separately and try and give you comments on things. But what I'll do is from this, I'll take an amalgamation and say, this is what we have collectively, republish those out to you, and then say, what's the next step to revise and fix some of these things? There's some new rules that we'll learn because we're learning stuff from different chapters, partly about what errors are there and what's really required when you're not using a formula like here, right? And then we'll go to the next step, which is lyrics and writing the B section that comes after this as well. So good on you. Talk to you later.